Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Clint Eastwood film Sully. Sully is based off a 2009 event where Captain Sullenberger, who is a famous pilot, um, ran into a problem with a flock of birds that were flying by his plane one day while he was flying some passengers to a destination for an airline service. And the flock of birds flew into the plane, flew into the little jets of the plane, and unfortunately caused the plane to malfunction and have to land at a place very, very soon as they were not able to reach these customers or passengers' destination for this airline service. Being that he had such a short time period to find a place to land this plane, the closest place he could do it was in New York City in the Hudson River, since that was the softest place they could land the plane. Guarantee that people's lives could be maintained in this plane. That if they had to land someplace on hard land, that would have ran the risk of someone getting hurt during the crash. So they land in this Hudson River. And don't worry, this isn't a spoiler review; it's a non-spoiler one. This is just me talking about the event and giving a synopsis for the movie. They land in this water, and somehow by a miracle, everybody on this plane manages to survive the crash. And so this film plays off of all the events, I guess, in a way, that led Captain Sullenberger to be able to pull off such a trick like this as an airplane pilot. And it also explores the things that happened after this crash, about how some people viewed him as a hero for doing this, how some people viewed him as crazy for doing this, how there was a strong possibility within the technical side of this plane, after looking at it pretty closely, that he could have landed somewhere if he really could have done it. So the film's all about, if he could have really landed this back in the airport somewhere, how it would have not caused as much trouble as it did for this event. But at the same time, people are thankful that everybody on board survived, that he managed to pull off such a crash that managed to keep everybody safe. So this film's all about kind of the rights and wrongs of this crash, how Sullenberger did have the opportunity to go back to a nearby airport, but managed to do something that really hasn't been done before. So this film plays off of all the rights and wrongs of how Captain Sullenberger handled this crashing of this plane. So overall, guys, I liked the film Sully by Clint Eastwood. I thought it was a good film. I don't think it's a great film. I think he's definitely made better films before this one. I think Million Dollar Baby and Unforgiven and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. These are all films that he's both acted and directed in for some of those titles. Even Gran Torino, I thought, was a better film. So Clint Eastwood has a pretty big filmography. He's made tons of great films. He's acted in them. He's directed in them. And I think he's even wrote some of them as well, and possibly produced some of them as well. So he's been in the film business for a very long time. So him still making films and still seeing him make great films is quite an honor. We really haven't seen somebody work this hard and for this long within the film industry for just that long. So it's cool to see him make another good film here. For my positives and negatives of the Sully film, I think I liked the heroic feel to it. You really get the sense that you're watching something heroic happen, that this man pulled off something that we really haven't seen done before for an airplane pilot. We really do feel like he saved these people, and saved these people in a way that really not a lot of people out there could be able to save them in this way. Tom Hanks and Aaron Eckhart are both lead performances in the film, with Tom Hanks playing a leading role and Aaron Eckhart being his um, co-pilot within the cockpit of this plane. They both give very good performances here. They both have great screen chemistry. They pull jokes at each other once in a while. They play off of each other very well throughout the movie. So I think Clint Eastwood did a very good job casting the two of them into this movie, because they really work off of each other very well, and they bring both Sullenberger and his co-pilot to great life in this big screen adventure. For another positive of the film, I think when it feels tense when it needs to. So, this airplane crash, um, Sullenberger about to take on this big interview that could make him look like a bad guy or a good guy. All these scenes feel very tense, so Clint Eastwood does a very good job making sure everything feels tense in this film. And I think overall, Sully is a very lovable guy. We really do care about this guy. We really do care that people support his choice in doing this, because there are a lot of points in the film where they talk about how he really could have just landed back in a nearby airport and all this other stuff. But we really do support the guy. We really do support why he did this thing the way he did. And we really do support him. We really have his back at this. And Clint Eastwood does a great job making sure that we support Captain Sullenberger throughout the course of this film. This film also has a great sense of accomplishment. We really do get the sense that Captain Sullenberger, even though he did something very risky, he did something that accomplished something that we really haven't seen done before. And I like how this film has this big sense of accomplishment. It's really quite interesting. For my negatives of Sully, I do think it has a weak sense of structure. Unfortunately, this story is not structured very well. It tries to go back and forth between way earlier times in Sullenberger's life and way later times. It even goes so far as putting something that happened way later in this event happened very early on in this film. So as far as structure goes, how they decided to place certain scenes the way they did, unfortunately, Sully doesn't have a very good sense of structure. I think there's a lot of scenes here where one scene that happened way later could have happened near the beginning. One scene that happened near the beginning could have happened near the end. I think Eastwood was trying to make something that didn't feel so chronological. And I really don't understand why. Maybe during the editing process, he thought it'd be more interesting to put these clips together the way he did. But whatever way he was thinking, it just feels kind of strange. So I think as far as structure goes, I wasn't a big fan of it. I also don't think this film has much of a film argument. There really is no reason why we have to hate Sullenberger's approach on this. I feel the way he handled this crash should be supported. There's really no reason why. So the film doesn't really have a good argument as to why he did this awful thing. So they tried to make an argument at some point, and I don't really understand why. Why couldn't we just all support what Sullenberger did? Because he really saved everybody on this plane, and there's really no argument to be had about that. I also do think the film does run out of steam after a while. It even goes so far as replays clips from things we already saw earlier in the film. I understood why they're there. I don't want to go into spoilers. But I do feel the film kind of runs out of steam. It just kind of ends. So I think Eastwood could have done something here that would have made the film continue in the right way before it concluded. And there's also several underdeveloped characters in this film. There's just a lot of characters that are just kind of there. It even tries to go so far as to let us know about some of the passengers on this plane. And when they try to do it, there's only about 20 or 30 seconds per passenger when they try to do that. So those characters kind of feel underdeveloped and unnecessary in a way. But overall, I'm going to give Sully an 8 out of 10. I do think it's a good film. I think it's worth seeing. I think if you like films like Flight or Clint Eastwood's earlier films, or just films about pilots or airline services and things of that nature, I think it is worth a view. It's probably not going to be in my best of the year. I don't think it's quite that good. I do think Clint Eastwood has made better films before this one, so 8 out of 10. Sully is a good film. It's just not quite the blow-away great film that Clint Eastwood has certainly made in the past.